All right, now we want to get to some breaking news. The man accused of killing a Ukrainian refugee in what police are calling a random attack on a light rail train in Charlotte, North Carolina, could now face the death penalty. DeCarlos Brown facing a federal charge for the stabbing death of Iryna Zarutska. And now there are growing questions over why the suspect was out on the street despite his lengthy criminal record. The U.S. Attorney's Office and FBI, they just wrapped up a press conference minutes ago. Take a listen.
So it really hits close to home, right? And why do we have people, whether there's mental health issues or violent crime issues, why are they on the streets? Why are our buses, our trains, our transportation systems almost homeless shelters or mental health shelters? We need to fix that. We need to clean that up. We can only do so much. This is going to take a lot more work from society, from the people in power and the politicians.
She literally came to the United States from a bomb shelter in Ukraine to escape the war, and she was going about her day. She was coming home from work on a light rail train, like all of us do all the time, and she was brutally murdered.
There is surveillance video from August 22nd. It shows Zarutska entering the light rail train, taking a seat in front of Brown, who was seated behind her. Investigators say minutes later, without any apparent interaction, he pulls out a pocket knife, stands and slashes her in the neck. Passengers screamed and ran as she collapses. She was pronounced dead minutes later. All right, joining me now is Anna Schecter, the senior coordinating producer for the CBS News Crime and Public Safety Unit. Video so hard to watch as we see what unfolds. But Anna, what can you tell us about the federal charge Brown is facing in addition to the state charges in North Carolina? And what is the justification for elevating this case to the federal level?
Sure. Well, this federal murder charge comes into play because it occurred on a light rail system. So she was in transit. And so that's why prosecutors are saying that it merits this federal charge. They also hinted at potential civil rights charges coming, but that murder charge, federal, could carry the death penalty. So this is really changing the game. And we've heard Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, call for her prosecutors to seek the death penalty when possible. And that came as a directive from President Trump. Now, this video was circulating and really went viral over the weekend, and President Trump latched onto it. So in a way, it's not surprising that Bondi stepped in and directed her prosecutors to file this in federal court. Generally, a case like this, a random act of violence, they are generally carried out at the state level, but this just makes it higher profile. The death penalty is eligible. And as I said earlier, Pam Bondi has directed her department to seek the death penalty when possible.
Anna, the suspect's lengthy criminal history is certainly getting a lot of attention. So what did you find out about his background when you took a closer look?
Sure. Well, he has a rap sheet going back to 2011, and he was arrested more than a dozen times. Now, the crimes range from more recently, in January of this year, he was placing 911 calls from a hospital bed when he wasn't unhappy about how police were interacting with him. So that's, on the lighter side. But let's not forget, back in 2014, he was convicted of robbery with a weapon, and he served more than 5 years in jail for that. So it's a range of crimes, but he was arrested at least twice for a violent assault. And so that's why we keep talking about this. But as we heard the U.S. Attorney just say, this does raise bigger questions of society. How do we handle this? We've talked as a society in the last 20 years about mass incarceration, and how that is extremely expensive to society and doesn't necessarily curb crime, according to some experts who study this. So basically, what we just heard was a call for local officials to step up and create a plan, make that transit system safer. Police have called for reinforcements. They need to fill their roles. They've had a hard time recruiting enough officers to cover that transit system. Also, we can think about mental health support. This is somebody with a documented instance of His mother told local media schizophrenia, a serious diagnosis requiring medication. So this case really hits on so many societal issues that we just haven't solved. And I think folks in Charlotte and in the state of North Carolina are grappling with how to move forward here.
Yeah, Anna Schecter. Anna, thank you.